Hey guys, it's Murph. I'm back again. Just doing a finish up video for the Killah fork upgrade, whatever you want to call it, mod, hack, whatever. So as you can see, this is the stock spring that comes out of it because this fork is spring sprung. It's tapered on the edges and it's pretty short. So in the last video, I don't think I explained it properly, but my fork actually had like almost an inch and a half of sag, or it did. It had an inch and a half of sag just sitting under the bike's weight. So when I would actually do a sag test on the bike, the fork was like compressing, it seemed like almost halfway. So I looked into getting a spring for the Killah forks, and there's nothing out there, no information. The only thing I could find was some Suron owners that put a socket on the spring side so the dampening rod or whatever you want to call it that pushes the spring down, it would be like a spacer to compress the spring more to try and give you more, less sag, I should say. So, and that would work, but you're still working with a crappy spring and you're just compressing it more. And I don't know. It just didn't seem like the right way to go with me. So I did a bunch of research. X Fusion makes a higher end fork that is also spring sprung, surprisingly, because most forks, like I said in the last video, are air sprung now. They make different springs. I bought the orange one. This is the RST fork. I'm just pointing at it because this is the package it came in. So I bought the orange one, which is the extra stiff spring they sell. It's the stiffest one. And then they go down. I think they have a stiff, a medium, and a soft. I think that's all of them. They're different colors, so you can kind of coordinate which is which. So I put the extra stiff one in here. And I didn't show you guys this because I was having some trouble, but I will go over that right now. Anyways, I put the extra stiff one in there. I greased it up real good. I used Lucas Red and Tacky grease. It's a good grease. It sticks real good to everything. I've had no stiction with the fork. I just went riding on the bike for like an hour. No stiction. The fork's working good. The spring's working good. Now when I put my body weight on it, the sag is actually at the proper level it's supposed to be. The fork feels great. But the one problem I had is the spring, the cap here on the spring. It's kind of, it's dark in here, so it's hard to see. But let me see if I can get there. Yeah, there you go. So I ended up almost stripping this because my 21 millimeter was a little bit loose on it. And as you can see, I got some black stuff on there. It's RTV, but I'm going to go over that in a second here. So anyways, the 21 millimeter is a little loose. A 20 millimeter socket, which is like an oddball socket, a 20 millimeter works on this. So, and the other problem with the spring is it's about 2 inches longer than the factory stock spring. So when you're going to put this rod back in, it's going to be hard to put it in because you're going to have to compress the spring a little bit. So I had a friend hold his arms under the handlebars to hold the fork all the way up, while I had to compress the spring by hand and push the rod down. What ended up happening is I cross-threaded the cap. So I got about halfway in and I knew I was cross-threading it. I went back out, I cleaned the threads. They have Loctite on it from the factory, which doesn't help with the threads. I cleaned everything, I tried again, it cross-threaded again anyway, so I just sent it home. Anyways, I got it as low as I could get it. There was a little bit of a gap. I took RTV, I sealed it up. There's actually a rubber washer that seals it in there, but it was having a hard time seal because of the gap, so I put the RTV on it to make sure nothing gets in that tube. And that was the only problem I had. Had I not cross-threaded that, this would have worked out perfect, great, whatever. Now I'm basically stuck with it the way it is because I don't think these threads are going to handle coming out and going back in one more time. They're going to completely strip, and the spring will probably just shoot out of the hole. But quick video, guys. I haven't seen anybody. I looked online. I couldn't find anything, even with the regular RST fork users that put them on bicycles. Couldn't find anything about this. And after doing the research, it made sense because the other forks, the X Fusions, have 36 millimeter stanchions. These are 36 millimeter stanchions. The only thing that's really different is the spring isn't tapered, but it doesn't matter because the damper rod, or whatever you want to call this thing that holds the spring down, the puck on the end of it still pushes right against the spring. And as far as I could tell, on the bottom of the fork tube, the spring's just sitting on the bottom anyway, so it's flat. I mean, it's not going to hurt that the spring's, a little bit wider at the end. But it works good. I'd love to show you the forks working, but it's kind of hard to hold the camera and do so. Maybe if I I'm accidentally turning the light on the bike, but let me see if I can. It's just so hard to do it with the camera on. But like I said, there's no stiction. They go up and down. They're just a lot tighter. And actually, using the compression now on the damper side, you can still get, you know, it tighter, and you can get more, you can make it softer with the compression. So it's not a huge deal. I mean, the fork still has a lot of room to play with. This almost feels like what they should feel like from the factory. I weigh like 190, 195, and the bike feels perfect now. It feels like the forks actually match the rear shock and how they feel now with tightness and, you know, how it feels. But just a, you know, well, it's not even a quick video anymore, but just a short video on how that worked out. I think it worked great. Just like I said, you know, be careful with that top cap. Don't cross thread it. Basically, now I'm stuck with the fork the way it is. If I ever wanted to change the spring to a softer spring, I'd probably have to retaper the threads, or who knows. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next one.